Hey there, Internet friends. Trevor Starkey here with another episode of TV Thursday. This week, I'm going to discuss, but mostly direct you to my written review of Season 5 of Orange is the New Black. You can find the full written review in the link in the description below. Spoilers for Season 5 of Orange is the New Black to come. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed Season 5, especially when I first found out that the whole season kind of takes place over the course of the riot. I had flashbacks of the last season of How I Met Your Mother kind of start flooding in, and the decision to set that entire final season over the course of the wedding weekend ended up being, I think, one of the things that largely gets kind of bandied about when talking about why the last season of that show felt so lackluster. And I also never found myself overly attached to something like the gimmick of 24, where you have an entire season set in 24 hours. So I had my reservations here about Orange is the New Black. But ultimately, I thought they used the chaos of the riot effectively. You had the Hispanic contingent kind of leading things off originally because Daya had the gun, by them all taking and getting all of the guards together and kind of setting the stage for the hostage situation. Whereas you had Tasty leading the African-American contingent, really trying to bring people together and get justice for Poussey's death, and that ended up kind of appearing through the form of her negotiations with MCC at large. This season felt like the traditional character flashback stories were used a little bit more sparingly than they have in the past, but they were used effectively to really tie into the themes we were seeing or the moments kind of happening in the present day. You had, in Daya's case, you have her flashback really telling the story of how she kind of made bad decisions based off of her mother's bad insight and input, and you have her in the present day saying she's not going to listen to her mother's, she has to come to terms with her own life, she has to make her own decisions, and so you kind of see the nice juxtaposition there in those moments. The present day stuff, things are flying a mile a minute. I was surprised when I thought back at how the season began with Daya shooting Humphreys, at how they kind of got shuffled away early on in the season, and we saw just so many new threads being picked up and abandoned in the chaos of the riot, and just like moment after moment after moment. I think one of the most beautiful images that, and I don't think I'm alone in this, that we had this season was the tribute that Soso puts together for Poussey in the form of like the hallway library with books hanging from the ceiling on strings, and then books just piled up kind of on the sides. A lovely tribute to obviously that character's love and passion as like the librarian while she was alive. So of course it stood to reason that that lovely, wonderful imagery was going to be just torn apart and shattered come the end of the season, when the riot starts falling in on itself, and you have the riot police coming through section by section and surgically like getting the inmates put down and removed from the situation. So of course you have like books being thrown about and chaos happening to that lovely, serene tribute to the character that sparked the whole riot in the first place. We're left yet again with an interesting cliffhanger that's going to presumably completely shake up things in Season 3. Most notably, we have characters going off to completely different penitentiaries and institutions for in the wake of the riot. So it'll be a crapshoot to see basically who we end up with next season, who we're going to be following, if we're following just one cast of characters or if characters are split up among multiple prisons, if we're going to be kind of bouncing around prisons to see and check in with each of those different characters that we've come to know over the course of the last few years, or if we're just going to completely lose a whole bunch of characters this next season. So that's a brief rundown of some of my thoughts on this season. You can read more of my impressions and kind of a full review of the season in the link in the description below over at trevortrove.com. As always, I've been your host, Trevor Starkey from Trevor Trove. You can follow me at Snarky Starkey on Twitter. And until next time, from here at the Trove, treasure your friends.